In conjunction with the Jubilee Year 2025, I'm here at the Cardine House to speak to the Archbishop of Kuala Lumpur, the Most Reverend Julian Leow. Your Grace, for some of us who don't know what a Jubilee Year is, maybe you can explain to us what is a Jubilee Year and is it biblical?
Yes, to assure you that it is biblical. The word Jubilee comes from a Hebrew word called Yovel, which means the horn of a male sheep, which is a ram. And the Jubilee year is a year of grace, a year of pilgrimage. And if you allow me to read, since I said it's biblical, I better refer to
Yes,
the
please
Bible.
go ahead.
And I'll take it from Leviticus chapter 25, verse 8. You will count 7 weeks of years, 7 times 7 years. That is to say, a period of 7 weeks of years, which is 49 years. And on the 10th day of the 7th month, you will sound the trumpet call. On the day of expiation, you will sound the trumpet through the land. You will declare this 50th year to be sacred and proclaim the liberation of all the country's inhabitants. You will keep this as a jubilee. Each of you will return to his ancestral property, each to his own clan. This 50th year will be a jubilee year for you. In it you will not sow, you will not harvest the grain that has come up on its own, or in it gather grapes from your untrimmed vine. The Jubilee will be a holy thing for you. During it you will eat whatever the fields produce.
We can see this Jubilee Year has a long history going back to biblical times, and the Catholic Church has also observed this not every 50 years, but I believe every 25 years. But just about 15 years ago, we had one Jubilee. What's the difference?
It actually started off in the 1300s, where the first Jubilee was called, and it was 100 years interval during that time. However, based on scriptures, 50 was the interval, so we have brought it down to 25, perhaps because 50 you only probably celebrate once in your lifetime. So they've brought it down to 25 now. Every 25 years we have an ordinary Jubilee year. However, you're right, in the year 2015 we had a Jubilee of Mercy, and the popes can call this extraordinary year of the Jubilee, which is away from the 25 years. So this 25th or the 25 years in next year will be the ordinary Jubilee, which is 25 years interval, and it so happens to be the 1700th or 1700th anniversary of the Council of Nicaea, which happened in the year 325. So next year we'll be celebrating 1700th year, and I think that's the reason also why the Holy Father has called for this Jubilee of Hope in particular.
As you mentioned that we have the Jubilee Year in 2025, but Pope Francis has also come up with a theme, as you mentioned, Pilgrims of Hope. How would you define or explain hope in the Catholic term?
Biblically, we can also find, if you allow me to quote Romans chapter 5, I'll just read for you the first 5 verses. So then, now that you have been justified by faith, we are at peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ. It is through Him, by faith, that we have been admitted into God's favor, in which we are living, and look forward exultantly to God's glory. Not only that, let us exult too in our hardships, understanding that hardships develops perseverance. Perseverance develops a tested character, something that gives us hope, and hope which will not let us down. I think that's where the Pope took this Jubilee on hope. Hope will not let us down, and this is where I think in our world today, the Pope has used the word hope as something we all need, especially after COVID and where we are as far as world peace is concerned.
As I mentioned just now, you mentioned the extraordinary Jubilee year in 2015. Because that was my first Jubilee year, I'm only 24 years old. So I remember one thing that struck me was the holy door that we could enter, go through the door of a parish or a church, and we have some favor upon us. But this year, in this holy year here, the holy doors are all in Rome. So is there any special pilgrimages, places that we can go to experience the Jubilee year?
The Holy Father will open the Holy Door in Rome on the 24th of December. However, in the Archdiocese of Kuala Lumpur, we will have not the opening of a door. The doors are all in Rome. However, we will have the opening of the Jubilee year for us on the 29th of December at 6 p.m. It's a Sunday, so it will be the evening of the Sunday of the 29th, where I believe we in the Archdiocese has suspended all the evening masses so that the people may gather at the cathedral. The clergy can also come, and it will be live telecasted throughout the Archdiocese, so that those who are not able to come can follow that Mass for the opening of the Jubilee year for the Archdiocese. There will be also four pilgrim churches in the Archdiocese. One for Pahang, which is St. Thomas in Kuantan. For Negeri Sembilan, we have in Fort Dixon, the Immaculate Conception Parish or Church there. In Kuala Lumpur or Selangor, of course, the cathedral will be the opening and the closing. But besides that, we have two other churches in KL, which is the St. Francis of Assisi in Cheras, and also Jesus Caritas in Kepong, which so happens to be celebrating their 50 years also of the founding of that parish. So some of the activities, there are quite a few that have been lined up at parish level, at district level, and also at our national level or the archdiocesan level. To name a few, next year is also the year where the young people have their assembly in Kota Kinabalu, where the 9 dioceses of Malaysia will receive the cross or the salib, and we will have the Perjalanan Salib back in our own diocese. All the 9 bishops will be there in Kota Kinabalu in the early of April, and we will take back respective crosses back to our dioceses, and these crosses will go around the Archdiocese from May 2025 right up to before the 2026 Malaysian Pastoral Convention.
I'm sure a lot of faithful in Malaysia, in other dioceses, will also be taking pilgrimages to each other's diocese. And I'm sure there'll be an influx of Catholics coming from outside of Kuala Lumpur to Kuala Lumpur to visit these pilgrimage churches. what is your advice or message for us here in Kuala Lumpur to receive these pilgrims?
Just to remind our people when they visit these churches, they should prepare themselves, and like all pilgrimages or jubilees, you receive indulgences when you visit these churches. And to do confession when you visit these churches, and to have our priests, the district priests also perhaps ready to assist to celebrate the Eucharist, obviously. And also a mention to the pilgrims when they come to also prepare themselves spiritually. If, as I mentioned, also the Jubilee is also a year where everything goes back to zero, or shall I say, back to its original. If there were debts that are still owed by certain groups of people during the Jubilee, the debts are supposed to be cancelled. The land, like I read earlier from the Vaticanus, to be left so that it can rejuvenate, it could restart to produce the fruits again the following year. It is also left barren so that whatever produce could be also picked up by sojourners or scavengers, people who are traveling. So these are some of the elements of the Jubilee that perhaps our pilgrims can consider to a sense of forgiveness, of hurts, of past debts. It's a good time perhaps to cancel many of your utangs to alongs, and I don't know whether the alongs will also forgive your debts, but if we have something against our brothers or sisters, I think it's a good time when we go to these pilgrim centers or parishes to also reflect on our own relationships.
Your Grace, thank you very much for your time to explain to us the Jubilee Year in 2025. We wish you a very blessed Holy Year, and also to all our viewers, a very blessed Christmas and a New Year to you. Any parting message, Your Grace, for our viewers?
Lastly, just to thank you, Kevin, for this time, and to all the viewers, this Jubilee year, may it be a truly spirit-filled one for you, and to remember also to take rest, not just for your bodies but for your soul, and to visit, to be on pilgrimage, to visit the different parishes, churches that are available in the Archdiocese, and to go and truly spend time with the Lord. So a very Happy New Year to you, Kevin, and to all our viewers. And since we are still in the octave of Christmas, blessed Christmas too.